Welcome to Suburban Death Metal Dad Bonus Tracks Episode 12. You like that album? Question mark. Where I'm basically going to talk about 5 albums that, say, fans of these bands generally maybe don't like these albums, especially like maybe fans of the earlier periods, hardcore fans, So when I say hardcore, I mean like diehard fans. So starting things off with an album came out in 1993. Band was big in the 80s and made a shift with their singer and released The Sound of White Noise, talking about Anthrax, in 1993. And I was a fan of the 80s albums and really surprised how much I like this album. It's probably the one I listen to maybe the most out of all of them. And of course, people may know songs like Only, Room for One More, Black Lodge, and I do like all those songs a lot, actually. But there's tons of other tracks on here that I think are great. Back is Rebellion, High Pro Glow, 1,000 Points of Hate, Potter's Field, the opening track is good. This Is Not an Exit. I mean, basically, I feel like this album is just complete. It's very solid. It's not the Anthrax of the 80s, and I'm not such a fan of anything else John Bush has done with the band, but I really like this album. Number 2 on the list, this album came out in 1995, and I think it has the lowest rating of all the albums from this band, and they have a pretty big discography. And I picked this up maybe 8 years ago or so, used, and I just wanted to check it out. It was hard to find, and I saw it in a CD shop secondhand in Japan and picked it up, not too expensive, and I liked it. Thought it was pretty good, but really started listening to it a lot maybe 6 months ago, and I think it's really, really good. And I'm talking about Forbidden by Black Sabbath, and tracks like Can't Get Enough, I Won't Cry for You, Sick and Tired, Forbidden, the title track. I mean, yeah, it was a little bit odd with Ice-T doing a spoken word over the first song, but you get past that. I think it's a solid metal album. It's not Black Sabbath sounding to me so much, but it's like Black Sabbath trying to play late 80s LA type music, a little more commercial, not glam metal, but a little more commercialized metal from that era. That's just my opinion, and I've been listening to this album quite a bit, and I like it a lot. Number 3 on the list, released in 1990. I saw a video from this album when it came out, and I was a big fan of their 80s stuff, still am. It's the best period. And I heard, a song from this album through the video, and I was like, yeah, I didn't pick it up. And I didn't pick it up for a very long time, until about maybe 2010, around that time. Talking about Iron Maiden, No Prayer for the Dying. And once I picked it up and started listening to it from front to back, thought actually it's a pretty good album. And Holy Smoke, Tail Gunner, those songs, they're decent, not great or anything, I don't think, but No Prayer for the Dying, the title track, Public Enema Number 1. I mean, terrible song title, but I think that's probably the best song on the album, or at least one of them in my opinion. And Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter, I really like that one a lot. Just overall, it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be, and I listen to it quite often, to be honest. All right, number 4 on the list. I picked this up originally when it came out in 1986. I was only 11 at that time, but I picked it up based on, there was a video they released, and I liked the song, but it's, looked at as not really a good album from the band, a little bit too commercial sounding, and I definitely agree with that, but I still think there's some good tracks on here. I'm talking about Judas Priest Turbo, terrible album cover, but the song Turbo Lover, they still play that live. I think that's a great song. Locked In, that's the one I heard first, and I liked it. Out in the Cold, Rock You All Around the World, and probably what I think is maybe the best song on the album, that I don't know if they've ever played it live, is the last song, Reckless. I think that's a super killer track from the band, and they should play that live, in my opinion. So, number 5 on the list, like I I said, a huge fan of this band. I did mention this album before. Came out in 1992, talking about Kreator renewal. And yeah, it's definitely different than what they'd released previously. You know, really dry production on this one compared to the earlier albums, and less thrashy, but just, I mean, opening track Winter Martyrion I think is amazing. Reflection, Renewal, Brain Seed, Karmic Wheel, Zero to None, Europe After the Rain. Just huge fan of this album. Listen to it, very often. One of my favorite Kreator albums. So, maybe it's not for everybody. Maybe people think it sucks. I don't know in general, but I think it's a great one. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.